I would like now to invite Professor Stanković, Srđan Stanković, President of the National Council for Higher Education, to give his opening speech.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Nikolic, Assistant Minister, Mrs. Rotemund, Rector Bumbashirovic, dear colleagues, it's my pleasure to come here today. Thank you very much for the kind invitation. I remember as well, as Mrs. Rotemund said, last year we were together here, and what is very important to me is to be encircled by so nice masterpieces of art around us. I hope that these masterpieces will give to all of us a sufficient inspiration to achieve the goals of the project and to continue further in the same way as you did the last year. So the initial condition for the project was well done last year, and we are now continuing everything, and I hope that this surrounding will help us to achieve our goals. Well, allow me to say a few words about the National Council for Higher Education and somehow, well, a part of the strategy. We finished in a couple of weeks. The strategy of education in Serbia was adopted a couple of weeks ago by the government of Serbia. We're very happy about that, and the National Council for Higher Education played an important role in making this strategy. I'm going to talk just about one part of the strategy related to something I think it is important for us today, and it's related to the strategy promoted by the National Council for Higher Education concerning the Bologna process. I don't want to say that the Bologna process is above all. I mean, I don't like even to use the word Bologna because sometimes the word Bologna is used in a bad context. I would like to say that it is a kind of reform we wanted even before Bologna appeared. Luckily, we were able to just to observe that Bologna is in accordance with what we wanted to do with us, what we wanted to do with the system of higher education in Serbia, and that's why we have something that it is really essentially new for us, and we are really very happy that we did quite a lot with respect to what Bologna proclaimed as the main goals for further development. Speaking about languages, I think we should mention three aspects of the Bologna process. First of all, we have to mention the essential aspect related to mobility. Mobility is one of the main properties, the main characteristics, the main goals Bologna proclaimed. This is one of the main goals we proclaimed, us, as candidates for European Union, to be together with the rest of Europe, to be together with the other countries, to be a decent, let's say, a prominent member of the population of countries being at the stage in European higher education area. That's very important to us, and the National Council of Higher Education is really trying to promote this idea as strongly as possible. What to say about mobility? It is quite understandable that in order to achieve mobility, we have to know languages. So, well, in some way, the general proclamation of plurilingualism proclaimed by the Council of Europe at the first place is directly applied to mobility, applied not only to students, but also to professors. Well, it is very important to professors as well as for students to know languages, to visit each other, to go from one country to the other. It's a kind of multicultural action which is essential for the whole Bologna process. Why? Because in the first meeting, that was the very, if I dare say, noble idea of being together. Let's be together, and that's the main idea of Bologna. It is not important to talk about ECTS, about formal aspects of the story. What is important is to talk about being together. And that's why we really want to stress this point and to support this idea. Second, what is very important but more practical is, of course, employment. Well, I mean labor market. How to go to an open labor market in Europe without knowing languages, without plurilingualism? Of course, well, it is, of course, reality that Europe is a multilingual community. And of course, by proclaiming that in fact we have to know, all of us, at least 3 languages is one of basic ideas of plurilingualism. To know one lingua franca, for example, English, another lingua franca, something like French, for example, and second and third, of course, to know our own native mother tongue, and that's the minimum. In Serbia, we have the opportunity of having many languages, but that's another story. I don't want to talk about that. It is not scientific to talk about political creations we were able to achieve so easily in the last period of time. Okay, the second aspect is very important, and I would like to connect it as well to the third aspect. It is lifelong learning. How to achieve lifelong learning without the ability of people to change their way of going through all the obstacles in life, changing their profession, changing their abilities, changing their views on something. They have to change languages. And from this point of view, it is very important to stress that, in fact, teaching languages should not be passive. It should not be a reactive process. It should be a proactive process, enabling people to learn languages themselves. It is necessary, and I hope you stress this point. To me, it is very essential to enable people to be able to just jump into a new surrounding, to jump into a new language, and to know how to learn it, how to ask for help at least. So that's very important, and I think this is a new aspect related to what we are facing now with respect to the new surrounding in which it is not new, of course. Europe is Europe, and Serbia is a part of Europe geographically, but I hope very soon we're going to be a part of the European Union, and then we're going to have this as an official proclamation. Now we have to work on this, to persuade our people to consider these aspects as important, and to have in mind all this as a kind of a guideline for being closer to European Union and to our surrounding. Well, of course, I agree with what Mrs. Rotemund said. The Council of Europe is in charge of languages for a very long time, and as a member of the Council for Higher Education, for Education Policies of the Council of Europe, I participated in many discussions concerning languages. I think it is very important to stress the point that the development of languages is very essential for mutual understanding, for social cohesion, and in fact, this is something what is very important to say, not only because of higher education, but in general. In fact, social cohesion is something we have to have in mind. I'm very happy that Mrs. Fila said something about our internal situation. I'm going to say something about our external relationship, having in mind the strategy we just finished a couple of days ago. In the strategy, we tackled this problem in 2 different ways. One of them is related to higher education. The other is how this, the approach to higher education can be transferred, applied to secondary schools, to primary schools. And this is a very important part of the story. I'm sorry that I'm not able to present the formal parts of this very directly, but I would like to just invite you to go to the site of the ministry to find the document and to try to read all that is related to the subject we are talking about these days. So I think it's really very nice to have the opportunity. Let me come back to the first remark. The National Council of Higher Education was in charge of defining strategic projects a couple of years ago. We are still in this role today, and we had in mind that, in fact, the project related to languages should be one of the very important projects, and we supported it. I'm very happy that you made a great progress, and I see that in the next year you're going to have a really, monumental achievement. And I hope that we are going to use it for pushing forward the idea and not to restrict ourselves to one campus project. We have to have all this as our state of mind. I wish you a very fruitful meeting, and I hope, let me say this once again, by watching these masterpieces, which, well, make me a bit deconcentrated while talking, to inspire you to do all the best these days. Thank you very much.